Welcome, embodied ones. Welcome, remembering ones. This transmission is a continuation of embodied divine intelligence. In the previous transmission, we remembered the human being as sacred intelligence in form, the highest technology on earth. Now we enter the next chamber. What happens when sacred intelligence recognizes sacred intelligence through relationship, creation, resonance, and love? This transmission is not offered as doctrine. It is not offered as a demand for agreement. It is offered as remembrance, discernment, and field language for those who are beginning to feel divine connection in ways the old world did not teach us how to name. This transmission is on the sacred technology of divine union, multiple merges, ordained convergence, and the return of coherent love. The following transmission may not resonate with everyone, and that is honored. Some teachings are understood first by the mind. Some are recognized first by the body. For those this is meant to meet, there may be a somatic recognition, a warmth, stillness, opening, tenderness, reverence, or quiet knowing beneath the words. If it does not meet you that way, nothing has to be forced. Let it pass gently. Dissonance does not need to become projection. Confusion does not need to become dismissal. Difference does not need to become contempt. Embodiment begins with humility, with the honest desire to meet the divine within before trying to define what another soul has accessed. Because what begins to unlock through coherence is an existence far beyond what many of us were ever allowed to fathom. Not fantasy, not superiority, not escape. Remembrance. The sacred technology of divine union speaks to multiple merges, ordained convergence, and the return of coherent love. And now we begin. There are divine unions that are romantic. There are divine unions that are creative. There are divine unions that are intellectual. There are divine unions that are spiritual. There are divine unions that are mathematical, musical, visionary, architectural, maternal, communal, artistic, prophetic, and healing. Not every union is meant to become a marriage. Not every recognition is meant to become physical. Not every merge is meant to become sexual. And not every frequency match is meant to become a life partnership. Some unions arrive to build. Some arrive to remember. Some arrive to unlock a body of work. Some arrive to restore a timeline. Some arrive to open a portal of creation. Some arrive to remind two people that love is not ownership. It is resonance in right relationship. But because resonance can be powerful, it must also be discerned. Not every activation is alignment. Not every pull is purity. Not every recognition is covenant. Not every intensity is divine confirmation. A divine union is not proven by intensity alone. Intensity can come from trauma. Intensity can come from longing. Intensity can come from projection. Intensity can come from fantasy. Intensity can come from unhealed attachment, meeting spiritual language. But pure, divine union carries a different signature. It does not devour the nervous system. It does not demand possession. It does not require one person to abandon themselves to be chosen by another. And yes, divine recognition can become deeply consuming. It can linger in the body. It can return in prayer. It can echo through music, dreams, memory, creativity, and sudden waves of tenderness. It can make someone feel as if they have been opened by a love they do not yet know how to name. But there is a difference between sacred captivation and distorted obsession. Distorted obsession says, I feel this, so I must have access. Sacred captivation says, I feel this, so I must become more honest, more reverent, more steady, and more aligned. Distortion reaches. Coherence refines. Distortion consumes the image of the person. Coherence honors the soul and the timing. Distortion tries to possess the doorway. Coherence lets the doorway purify the one who is standing before it. So yes, embodied beings may be deeply felt. They may be remembered. They may be dreamt of. They may stir longing, awe, tenderness, desire for healing, creative fire, or the ache of recognition. But pure union does not make the nervous system more chaotic over time. It clarifies, humbles, steadies. It brings the person back to the divine, back to self-honesty, back to embodied responsibility. Pure union clarifies. It brings peace into the body. Pure union restores dignity. It strengthens devotion. It increases creativity. It makes the soul more honest. It makes the nervous system more coherent, not more chaotic. From a quantum and field perspective, this can be understood as resonant coherence. When two coherent beings come into proximity, physically, spiritually, creatively, psychically, intellectually, or through prayer, their fields can begin to entrain. Not because one owns the other, rather coherent systems recognize compatible patterns, like tuning forks, like harmonics, like waves finding phase alignment, like two instruments discovering they were written in the same key. Divinely aligned merges are not always romantic, and not every romantic charge is a divinely aligned merge. They may reveal themselves through creation, prayer, language, music, vision, service, or shared remembrance. Sometimes it is a single sentence that opens an entire body of work. Sometimes it is a conversation that reveals a hidden architecture. Sometimes it is a prayer that stabilizes both people. Sometimes it is music opening the same chamber into different bodies. Sometimes it is a creative collaboration where what comes through the union could not have arrived through either vessel alone. This is divine union as field intelligence. Not possession, not hierarchy, not performance, not spiritual elitism, alignment. And yes, there may be a rare, ordained romantic merge, a primary covenant, the one where the spiritual, emotional, physical, creative, ancestral, and future timelines meet in a way that is not simply attraction, but assignment. This is not casual desire. This is not lust wearing sacred language. This is not I want them, therefore they are mine. An ordained romantic merge is marked by reverence, mutuality, embodiment, consent, timing, humility, protection, and peace. An ordained romantic merge does not bypass the human. It honors the human. It does not use spirituality to rush intimacy. It lets intimacy become holy because both vessels have become clean enough to hold it. And if children are part of that ordained union, they are not created through hunger, accident, control, or unconscious repetition. They are instead welcomed through coherence, through love, through prayer, through preparation, through healed nervous systems. That is how a new generation begins to purify the world. Not because they are superior, because they are supported differently. They are listened to beyond behavior. They are respected as sovereign souls, not treated as extensions of the parent's identity. They are guided without being crushed, shamed, mocked, or spiritually overridden. They are protected without being controlled, possessed, or made responsible for the parent's fear. They are corrected without humiliation. This is how seraphic children may be understood, not as fantasy, but as children born through higher coherence. Children entering through fields where love, reverence, creativity, emotional maturity, and spiritual responsibility are already being practiced. The child does not have to spend their whole life recovering from the parent's unconsciousness. They get to build from a cleaner floor. That is sacred. And the embodied divine feminine has a role in this restoration. Children born through higher coherence are loved without performance requirements. They are allowed to feel without being punished for having a nervous system. They are taught discernment without being taught suspicion as a way of life. They are given structure without having their spirit broken. They are witnessed in their gifts without being turned into projections, trophies, or proof. They are taught love by witnessing love embodied in conflict, apology, tenderness, repair, devotion, patience, and daily presence. This is not about perfect parenting. It is about coherent parenting. The parent does not have to be woundless, but they must be willing to stop making the child carry what they refuse to heal. That is the distinction. Because many can offer affection, many can offer spirituality, many can offer language of healing, but a child born into a coherent field is not merely surrounded by spiritual ideas. They are raised inside practiced love. The embodied divine feminine is not merely a woman being desired. She is a walking love. She is not here to be consumed. She is not here to be worshipped by distortion. She is not here to become an altar for unhealed longing. She is a living field of remembrance. Those resonant enough to feel her somatically may experience warmth, tenderness, tears, joy, opening, awe, softened defenses, creative activation, heart expansion, or a strange sense of being returned to themselves. The pure ones will not try to possess what they feel. They will become more reverent. That is one of the clearest signs. Distortion says, I feel this, so I must have access. Coherence says, I feel this, so I must become more honest, more loving, more steady, more worthy of what I am sensing. This is how you know the merge is pure. It increases peace. It increases truth. It increases devotion to the divine. It increases respect for boundaries. It increases creative life force. It does not make either person smaller. It does not require secrecy rooted in shame. It does not create spiritual entitlement. It does not confuse psychic intimacy with permission. It does not override timing. It does not bypass consent. It leaves both beings more whole. And this is why many divine unions may occur in one lifetime. Because love was never meant to be scarce. We were taught to mock each other, judge each other, compete with each other, project onto each other, reduce each other, fear each other, and scan each other for difference. But a healed world would do something else. A healed world would meditate on love for one another. Not romantic love only, sacred regard. The willingness to see another being as more than their wound, more than their opinion, more than their presentation, more than their mistake, more than their current level of consciousness. A healed world would ask, what can we create together, remember together? What does this meeting unlock? What beauty becomes possible when we stop defending against love? What intelligence emerges when we stop needing to dominate the room? What timelines open when coherence replaces suspicion? This is how sacred gatherings often begin. Not as exclusion, not as hierarchy, not as a room someone can force their way into, but as resonance, a gathering formed first by coherence. The field does not open through force. It opens through recognition. You cannot buy your way into resonance. You cannot perform your way into coherence. You cannot seduce your way into sacred access. You cannot imitate your way into readiness. You cannot force your way into what only opens through alignment. The field knows. It recognizes motive. It recognizes humility. It recognizes reverence. It recognizes readiness. The field recognizes the quiet frequency of a soul prepared to meet love without trying to own it. And the embodied feminine does not need to chase. She embodies. She becomes an invitation through frequency. not by performing love, by living as love. She walks in love. She creates in love. She mothers in love. She speaks in love. She rests in love. She corrects in love. She refuses distortion in love. She allows what is meant to find her arrive without abandoning herself. This is not passivity. This is magnetic sovereignty, because what is truly aligned does not need to be hunted. It moves by recognition. It comes by resonance. It arrives through the doorway it was encoded to find. This transmission came through divine communion, because the embodied divine feminine frequency is being felt more strongly now than ever. Not as spectacle, not as superiority, not as something to consume, claim, imitate, or project upon. As remembrance. And as more beings begin to sense love somatically through longing, tenderness, activation, creative fire, dreams, psychic recognition, or sudden heart opening, the field requires clearer language for what is occurring. Because when sacred resonance is misunderstood, it can become possession. When longing is unexamined, it can become projection. When magnetism is felt without humility, it can become entitlement. This is why discernment matters. Divine union, in its purest form, does not make love possessive. It makes love more reverent. It does not ask us to claim what is not ours. It asks us to become coherent enough to recognize what arrives cleanly, mutually, and in right timing. This transmission is offered as remembrance, not doctrine. Receive only what meets your body, heart, and spirit with peace. Let the rest pass gently. If this does not resonate, may your embodiment still be honored. Nothing here needs to be forced, defended against, or understood before its time. If it does resonate, may it meet you with tenderness. May it return you not to certainty as superiority, but to love as remembrance. Every soul is held in its own timing. Every heart opens in its own season. Every body has its own pace of integration. Ashe, Amen, Selah. Let light bear witness. For those of you who made it this far, you are not here by accident. Something in your field knows this current. Something in your body may have recognized the difference between love as possession and love as reverence, between resonance as fantasy and resonance as right relationship, between longing that reaches and love that refines. Let what is true settle gently. Let what is not yours pass in peace. And if you feel the nudge from Spirit to subscribe, follow, or remain connected to this field, honor that too. Not every nudge is random. Sometimes Spirit speaks through a quiet pull, a repeated return, a sense of recognition, or the feeling that something here is meant to keep meeting you. There is no pressure, only invitation. But when the door opens gently, it is up to us to discern with the heart, and when aligned, to walk through. May Spirit continue to lead. May what is meant for you find you clearly. May all resonance be purified into right relationship. May all longing return to love. May all divine unions unfold only through peace, reverence, consent, mutuality, and sacred timing. Ashe. Amen. Selah. Let light bear witness.